a deadline here and no one else seems to care. Or here's a good one. There aren't enough hours in the day. You ever heard that? You ever used that? If you reach that point where you say there's not enough hours in the day, you need to look at your priorities again. Think about that. You know, many of you might remember when Carol and I were here first time, 30 plus years ago, serving two churches, this church in Gilgal, going to school full time. Carol was working nights at the Abbeville Hospital, and we would live in the morning, her coming home, and me going to school. On your plate, you will never get caught up. Not trying to tell yourself, oh, well, you know, this is temporary. It's in order. Determine what's really important, and then move some stuff off your plate. Not easy to do. Tough decisions. Second thing is this, I learned this the hard way. If you try to do too much, you got too much stuff going on, then everything you try to do begins to suffer. Because you won't do anything well because you're constantly trying to do too much at one time. So you got to think about that. And you know, I'm not talking about having a busy day here and there. We all have those, you know. We have those momentary times of stress. You know, that's just a part of life. No, what I'm talking about is a pattern. A pattern of always being behind, being stressed out. You know, and if this is your life, if it's a party test, Jesus said to Martha, Martha, you're upset over all these details, but there's only one thing worth being concerned about. Only one thing worth being concerned about. He says, Martha, it's time for you to do a priority check. What matters most? Or spending time with me. That's basically, and nothing works correctly. It's kind of like computers. If you ever dealt with computers very much. You know, I've had times where I'll have several programs going on my computer, and I'll get on the internet trying to research something, and you open this window, and you open this window, and you got several things all there at once. You know what happens a lot of times? Your computer freezes up. It locks down. Why? Because you got too many things open. You got too much that it's trying to do. It freezes up. So what do you have to do? You have to start closing sites. You have to start closing windows. You might even have to hit the reset button. You know, if you're overwhelmed to the point that you need to hit the reset button in your life, just know that you can do it. You can do it. But you're going to if you're going to keep getting over, you're going to keep getting locked up. Kind of like that computer. And one other test you have to do. Take the reward test. Jesus said, you know, there's only one thing worth being concerned about. And then he says, Mary has discovered it. And it'll not be taken away from her. So Mary discovered the most important thing. So you know how to determine your priorities in life? What's most important? You determine what's going to give you the biggest payoff, the biggest reward. Okay? Now, don't misunderstand me. Guys, don't go home and sit down in your recliner and say, well, the preacher said I didn't have to do anything. I don't have to work. I don't have to do anything. Ladies, don't go home and sit down and say, you know, he said I don't have to do anything. No, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. There's times when you're going to have to do at some point the dishes, the laundry, cut the grass, you know, pick the corn. There's times when you've got to do it. So, you know, I'm not saying not do it. But I'm saying get your priorities in order. Understand what's most important. Our relationship with God and our relationships with one another all work by the same rule. Love first, serve second. That's the whole gist of this thing. Love first, serve second. In your spiritual life, that's a little easier to understand. Always love God first, love Jesus first, sit at his feet, and then go serve. Jesus wants you to serve, no doubt about it. But this is a rule that we all can live with in any relationship that you've got. Okay? Your marriage, your children, every relationship. Love first and serve second. And make it a habit to take time during the week and just sit still and listen. It'll help you, even physically sometimes. It'll help. But certainly spiritually and emotionally. You got to focus, you got to submit, and you got to listen. Sit still in the presence of Jesus every day of your life, sometime or other, to do that. I mean, if you truly want revival in your life, if you want to spend time doing that, that's most important. Spend time with Jesus every day. In prayer, in the Word, whatever it takes. Just put the problems of the world aside for a moment. Not easy to do, it takes discipline. And just sit still and listen. Spend time with Jesus. Spend time with your spouse. Spend time with your kids. Spend time together. And I promise you this, if you do that, you'll experience revival and you'll find the reward is better than you could ever imagine. Just sit still and listen. Amen. Our closing hymn this morning is found on page 102. My hope is built. As we sing together, page 102. My hope is built. This week, as you go about your lives and all these things come at you from all directions, that you remember this and just take a moment to sit still and listen. Refocus and spend some time at the feet of Jesus. May the Lord bless you now and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and give you gracious Son. May He lift up His countenance upon you and give you